Hey everybody, I'm Chad Hasty. Hope you're having a good day out there. Don't forget to tune in to the Chad Hasty Show this morning, weekday mornings, 8:30 to 11 on News Talk 790 KFYO and streaming online at KFYO.com. It was a big weekend for Donald Trump as he won the South Carolina primary. Not only did he win the South Carolina primary, he dominated the South Carolina primary. See, here's the thing about South Carolina. It's a little bit like Texas in a way, where it divvies up the delegates. Texas, not winner take all unless you really dominate every single county and every single precinct out there. Well, guess what Donald Trump did in South Carolina? He won every single delegate. He won every single county. He dominated every single person in this race. Marco Rubio finishing in second place, but he didn't win any delegates. Neither did Ted Cruz, who finished right behind Marco Rubio in third place. It was a particularly bad night for Ted Cruz, who came in third place, and here's why. 72% of South Carolina voters identify themselves as evangelical. Well, a lot of Ted Cruz's base, evangelical conservative voters. And Ted Cruz did not win the evangelical vote in South Carolina. Guess who did? That's right, Donald Trump. Donald Trump got 33% of the evangelical vote in South Carolina, with Ted Cruz gaining about 27% and Marco Rubio about 23%, according to some of the polling data that was out there. So it was a bad night for Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz was, this was supposed to be his state. I don't know if he was necessarily supposed to win, but he was at least supposed to come in second place, get very close to Donald Trump because of the evangelical vote, because of the strong conservative vote in South Carolina. The Cruz camp, they're trying to spin this going, hey, Marco Rubio had all this behind him. He had the momentum behind him with Nikki Haley, with some of the other elected officials in South Carolina. Yeah, that's nice and everything, but let's not try to spin this too far, okay, Cruz camp? 72% of the voters in South Carolina are evangelical. That is Ted Cruz's bread and butter, and he lost them in South Carolina. That's not good. So the big question out there today is, can Donald Trump be stopped? Is this inevitable now that Donald Trump becomes the GOP nominee? I don't know. It is getting closer and closer to that point. I will tell you that. I'm not going to be like some pundits out there who tell you, oh, well, don't worry, it's still a long race to go. It's not a sprint, right? It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You probably heard some of those cliches out there. Folks, this thing's almost over, okay? Unless Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz can somehow team up together and take down Donald Trump, this thing is just about over. And that's got to happen. Somehow, Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio have got to stop attacking each other, and they've got to go after Donald Trump and expose him for what he is, which is not a conservative. But, and let me just caution this, folks, a lot of voters don't care about that right now. In fact, if you go back to some of the exit polling that was done, Fox News was reporting on this the night of the election in South Carolina. 49%, among those who thought that electability was the number one thing to them, 49% said Marco Rubio is the most electable Republican in the race, and Marco Rubio won that vote. Unfortunately for Marco Rubio, only about 15% of people said that. 17% of people said, we want someone who tells it the way it is. Guess who won that vote? That's right, Donald Trump. Donald Trump dominated that vote. Now, there was only 17% of people who said that was their number one quality, but Donald Trump won that by about a margin of 77%. He got 77% of that vote. That was huge. Now, another angle on this, shares our values. Okay? Yeah, a lot of voters out there want someone who shares their values, right? And obviously not. Among those who shares their values, Ted Cruz came in first place among Share Your Values. Second place, Marco Rubio. Third place, I think it was Jeb Bush. Fourth place, John Kasich. Donald Trump didn't get in the double digits as far as share our values. So when it comes to the big issues of conservatism, sharing your values, that argument so far has not worked. Now, winnowing the field. Jeb Bush dropped out after South Carolina. Ben Carson should, please, Ben Carson, drop out of this race. John Kasich should drop out too, but he won't yet. He'll wait and maybe try to win Ohio later on in March. But with the field winnowing and with voters trying to go in different directions, with more endorsements coming towards Marco Rubio, I see a better path for Marco Rubio than I actually do for Ted Cruz. Sorry, Cruz supporters. I see a better path for Rubio to take down Donald Trump. The question is he strong enough to do so? Eventually, Marco Rubio has to win a state. He hasn't done that yet. At least Ted Cruz won the Iowa caucuses. Donald Trump has dominated everywhere else. So can someone actually take down Donald Trump? Folks, let me say this. It's going to, as we move along, Texas here, hey, great state of Texas, we're voting right now. Early voting's going on. We've got the March 1st primary coming up. I do think Ted Cruz will probably eke out a win here in Texas. Haven't seen any new polling data yet. Maybe that's on its way early this week. I hope so. But Ted Cruz probably leading right now in Texas. But as of all the other states out there, guess what? Donald Trump is dominating. We could see some movement because of Jeb Bush dropping out, because of voters realizing that Ben Carson is nothing right now and he's only in it for himself. Same thing for John Kasich, that a lot of voters look at John Kasich and go, maybe a VP nod, but otherwise we'll move over towards Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz. That may shift some of the polling, but Donald Trump is leading by so much in some of these other states that it's going to take something outside of Marco Rubio by himself or Ted Cruz by himself taking down Donald Trump. I have no idea what that is. We'll see. I will say this. If people ask me what are the percentages or the chance that Donald Trump becomes the next GOP nominee, if I had to place a bet on it, I would say right now Donald Trump has a 60 to 65% chance of winning the Republican nomination. And that means that come April, probably April, a lot of people will be sporting Donald Trump hats. Tune in to the Chad Hasty Show weekday mornings 8:30 to 11 on News Talk 790 KFYO. We also stream KFYO.com. And don't forget, you can follow me on Twitter, Chad Hasty Radio. And, oh, yes, subscribe to the KFYO YouTube page below. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later.